Welcome back to Reviews at Brews, where we try a brew and you get a review of a new TV show or movie. Today's brew is going to be the limited series Hefeweizen from Lone Tree Brewing Company on Lone Tree, Colorado. It's got a 5.4% ABV. Let's give it a shot. So I know it has been a minute. I had a few surgeries, so it's just been a busy few months and I haven't really had a chance to do this in a while, but I am back. Cheers. That's pretty damn good. This is kind of a long one, so I want to just kind of jump into it. The film we're going to review today is Deadpool and Wolverine. First off, I just want to say I was a little bit concerned going into this movie. I was worried there was going to kind of be a watered-down version of the movies that came before it. Disney isn't really known for making R-rated films. I was actually really surprised with this film with how hard they went with the R rating. It's a way more violent movie than the first two movies. The balls on Disney to actually produce this film and put this film out. It feels like Kevin Feige just gave them the keys and said, do what you do best. There's something about this version of Deadpool that just kind of feels right, and it feels like the natural progression for the character, for the story with this movie. There's a lot of layers to the character of Wade Wilson, and I feel that this movie kind of explores that a little bit deeper in the first act of the film. I really like that Deadpool actually feels like an anti-hero in this film. The character does some pretty questionable, just fucked up, despicable things in the film, and he goes to some pretty dark places. Now, to be fair, one of those things is explained away in the after credits scene, but I still really appreciated that. Look, everybody knows that Hugh is an amazing actor and talent, but he really brings it here. In Logan, we got the best version of Logan. This film, I feel like we got the closest to peak Wolverine we've gotten in these films. Following this film, I honestly feel confident that he could still play this character for at least another decade. And look, who knows, maybe he'll actually play him until he's 90. We'll get a real, authentic old man Logan. I think one of the funniest moments in the film is when they show us a comic-accurate Wolverine stature. Obviously if they recast the character, it'd be fun to kind of try that out. But just seeing this like tiny Hugh Jackman it's just funny. I love that this film kind of plays around with the different variants of Wolverine. You got Patch, you got Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, you got Wolverine versus Hulk, and then you've got the Cavalry. It was perfect. The opening to this film is one of the most creative and captivating openings I've ever seen in a superhero movie. Deadpool just completely desecrating Logan's corpse is so messed up, but so damn funny. Look, if Marvel's been doing one thing right in the last two phases, it's the costumes. The costumes in this film are fucking awesome. I love the fact they finally brought in the Deadpool core and just all the weird and unique designs that come with those characters. You got like the flying zombie head, lady pool, cowboy pool, kid pool, baby pool, a samurai pool. They got all these different Deadpools, and I fucking love that shit. Wolverine's costume in this film, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I honestly wasn't all that looking forward to him wearing the cowl. I thought it was gonna kind of look silly. I was wrong. I remember the first time I was watching it, kind of looking at him wearing the cowl and just almost getting like deja vu, like an itch you can't scratch. It bothered me for like the entire final act of the movie, until it dawned on me. The way the cowl fits the face and like the jawline and the eyes and all that. It looks a lot like Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Obviously not the design, not the colors and all that stuff. I can't believe it took 20 years to get a perfect comic accurate Wolverine. Something I wanted to point out that kind of caught me by surprise was just how isolated this story felt. And I know that sounds odd given everything that happens in this film with all the multiversal stuff and all the Marvel references, but I was a little bit confused by what Kevin Feige and Disney were saying about how if Endgame is a 10 in terms of the impact it has on the MCU and Infinity War is a 9, then Deadpool and Wolverine is an 8. I didn't really get that feel with this film. It didn't really feel like it had much impact at all in the MCU. But I guess it's because I don't really see where they're going with this multiverse story. So who knows, maybe when the next Avengers comes around, it'll make a little bit more sense in terms of how it contributes to the story. Does this film stand alone by itself for somebody who hasn't seen any of these movies, who doesn't get the references? I don't know. I don't really know how to separate myself from that. Honestly, I don't really feel like you can fully appreciate this film without knowing the references they're making. I do know that the plot and the story here is not all that complex. I didn't mind that all that much though. I mean, honestly, I just enjoyed spending time with these characters. It really just felt like a kid playing in a sandbox with his action figures. It felt like they were just mixing up these characters, having a good time. And you could really tell that everybody who worked on this film had a great time making it. I also really enjoyed that this film wasn't afraid to get serious at certain moments. I think that's something that they kind of nailed with these movies. These movies are really funny and violent, but there's also a lot of heart to these movies. Wolverine processing all of the loss in his life and what it means to be a superhero. Deadpool's arc is a different story. The arc they were trying to lay out for his character was kind of already hit on in the second film. Learning what it means to be a part of a team, to work with others. It feels like a lot of the lessons he was learning in this film, he already learned in the last film. I really kind of like Cassandra Nova when she was introduced. There's something about Emma Corrin's performance that was very interesting to watch. I do feel like the character's motives in the film are just kind of all over the place, and the way they went out at the end of the film was just kind of underwhelming. With Mr. Paradox, it feels like they were kind of toying around with different versions of the character, and they kind of just stitched all of them together. There's moments where his character is very serious, and then there's like this cheesy, tongue-in-cheek version of the character that's just kind of blended together with that serious version, and they just feel like two completely different characters. I wish he would have kind of committed to one of the different versions of the character, but the fact that the character was so inconsistent, it made it very difficult to kind of get a feel for the character. This is kind of nitpicky, but there were some decisions that he was making in the film that didn't really make much sense. Like, it didn't make sense for him to tell Wade that he had the intention of fast-tracking the destruction of his world. It kind of felt like one of those things that was intended as a reveal for later on in the film, and maybe they just changed it up to fit this more compact runtime that they went with. I think the jokes and the references in this film were like spot on, really fucking funny. They do make some cracks at the DCU, and even more so at Marvel's expense. I love how they just got away with just shitting on everybody, especially Disney. But I do want to touch on the cameos here. I love all of the throwbacks to early 2000s Marvel films. I love the absolute savage way they treated Chris Evans' Human Torch. And I love the fake out with making everybody believe that he's actually Captain America. Wesley Snipes' Blade is incredible here. He still has like this insane presence to his character that is unlike any comic book character put to screen. But look, above all, I think my favorite cameo in the film was Channing Tatum as Gambit. I honestly had completely forgotten about the film that he was supposed to do. So seeing him pop up on screen, I was like, what the f? And look, if you don't know the story, basically Channing Tatum was supposed to play Gambit, and his film got canceled when Fox was sold to Disney. So finally seeing this character on screen with like the perfect comic accurate costume, like his accent was funny as shit, but I love how they kind of play into that. Also another cameo that I don't think a lot of people caught. Again, all the fucking cameos here are really good, but like Matthew McConaughey as Cowboy Pool. What? I just wish he would have given us an all right, you know, just to kind of confirm that for us. But by far, the best Deadpool in this film, you're right, was fucking Peter Pool. Peter Pool was like, I was like, what the fuck? This dude just riding in on his bicycle, he's got his fucking stomach bulging out. I think he was just a great addition. I know a lot of the other characters from the other films kind of took a backseat in this film, and I love that they still kind of kept this running gag of him being Wade's best friend. I guess the big question on everybody's mind is, does this film save Marvel? Is the MCU back? And I think that remains to be seen. This doesn't really feel like an MCU film as much as it does a farewell to the Fox movies. But look, I really love this film, and because of that, I think I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10 pints. It's not a perfect movie by any means. There are a lot of flaws with the movie, with the plot, with some of the character arcs, but I think this film has a lot of strengths, and it's a really enjoyable film. It's a really fun movie to watch. I don't know if it's the best of the three films. I'd have to rewatch the other ones to kind of figure that one out. I love that Ryan Reynolds just kind of manifests what he wants the sequels to be. I think with, at the end of the first film, he manifests that he wanted Cable in the next film. In this case, it was a road trip across the multiverse with Deadpool and Wolverine. Look, it didn't feel like a huge event comic. It didn't feel like it even contributed to the larger MCU, but I think it absolutely nails what it sets out to do. It's just a fun story with two characters that we love, just hanging out, fucking around, fucking shit up. This movie has some of the best comedy, and it also has one of the most creative and violent action sequences in all of the Marvel movies. And I think that out of all the team-up movies and all the crossover movies, I think the two title characters in this movie have the best chemistry out of all of those movies. I really hope to see more of these characters. I'm sure we'll see more of them in Secret Wars. It's been hinted at already, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah. So 9 out of 10 pints, let's fucking go. Cheers.